Gen friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching Chanakya. Tomorrow Russia says that we'll give 5 ICBMs and 25 tactical nuclear weapons to Iran. God bless you. Russia has a border then. They have thousands of nuclear weapons and they're going to distribute them like cookies. And there is nothing that America can do. Gen friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. Now something very frightening is happening between Russia and Belarus, and I will tell you how the West is culpable for all that Russia is doing. Russia has never done this before. In fact, after the breakup of the USSR, it was Russia that was collecting nuclear weapons from all these countries that were previously part of the USSR and bringing them back to Russia. Russia was working very closely with international agencies. Now, what went wrong? Let me tell you. After Russia attacked Ukraine, which all of us condemn in the sense that we understand why Russia did it and why Russia was compelled to attack Ukraine, but attacking any country is per se wrong. You should not do it. However, the war broke out, and now what Russia has done is Russia has given nuclear weapons to Belarus. So this is Vladimir Putin. He announced that Russia would base tactical nuclear weapons on the territory of its ally, and Putin says that first Russian nuclear weapons delivered to Belarus as planned. President Vladimir Putin said Russia has delivered its first tactical and nuclear weapons to Belarus 3 months after announcing the plan that threatens to ratchet up tensions with the US and its allies over the war in Ukraine. The first nuclear charges were delivered to the territory of Belarus, but only the first. Vladimir Putin said at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum on Friday, this is the first part, but by the end of the summer, by the end of the year, we will complete this work. President Putin says Russia to place tactical nuclear arms in Belarus. Now, why did this happen? Why did Russia have to do this? The problem with the West is that the West does not realize the implications or the repercussions of what it's doing. First, when Russia declared war on Ukraine, they said we will not buy gas from Russia. Prices shot up. Then they said, okay, we'll buy gas from Russia, but we'll only buy a little gas from Russia. All right? Very well. Now, they did a U-turn and said, okay, we are placing a $60 cap on Russian fuel. $60 per barrel, and you can't pay more than $60. It has to be 60 or less. So the West has done a lot of roundabouts. I'll tell you what. Why is Russia doing it now? The West is arming Ukraine. The West is giving billions of dollars unaccounted for money to Ukraine. And there are a lot of dissenting voices in the United States which are saying that we are already so much in debt. Why in God's name are we doing all this? Why? Why give money unnecessarily to Ukraine? But Ukraine's getting a lot of money. Zelensky's corruption is being discussed openly now because all that money is not going for weapons. Zelensky's taking a lot of that money and keeping it in banks abroad. The third point here, very, very, very pertinent point is that, arming the Ukrainians so that they fight against Russia, and this is not about stopping the war. The West doesn't say stop the war. What they want Ukraine to do is keep on damaging Russia to such an extent that Russia collapses. Now you'll think that that's a tall order, but actually that is how the West is thinking. They're arming Ukraine. They should have till now brought in tremendous pressure. There should have been a special meeting of the United Nations. There should have been emergency meetings in all the world's major capitals. And this should have been the theme. Get Russia, get Ukraine to the negotiating table. Finish it off, end this war. That is what Prime Minister Modi said. This is not an era of war. This is what he said. The problem is now that after they put sanctions on Russia and after they said that, we are cutting off dollar supplies to Russia, Russia started trading in oil in various other currencies. India bought a lot of Russian oil by paying INR, that is Indian rupee. We paid Russians in Indian rupees, Russians took it. Russians accepted Chinese money. Russians accepted Saudi money. They have accepted all kinds of money. In fact, Saudi Arabia, one of the biggest producers of oil in the world, has bought oil from Russia. Russia suddenly decided, or suddenly realized, I should say. One fine morning it realized that we can do without the West. We don't need the West. We don't need the institutions of the West. We don't need anything from the West. Hell with them. And today, when Russia says that we are sending nuclear weapons to Belarus, And you remember the Belarusian president, I had covered it some time back, I think 2 or 3 weeks back, where he said that join our bloc, join the Putin and Belarusian bloc, the Russian and Belarusian bloc, join us and we will give you nuclear weapons. So what about Georgia? Or let's say, what about the Stan countries? Forget Georgia. What about the Stan countries, which were earlier part of the USSR? What about them? What about Tajikistan? What about Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan? What about these countries? They will say, yes, we are part of the Russian bloc, give us nuclear weapons. And suddenly you will have 20 countries in the world with nuclear weapons. And this is a gross miscalculation by the West, because today, what are you going to do with Russia? This is what I want to ask them. What do you want to do with Russia? What are you going to do? You've tried everything that you can or could. You've done everything to Russia, and Russia is still standing there. How have you solved the problems by giving weapons to the Ukraine? I'm not talking purely about the right and wrong aspect, because that is not your consideration also. Your consideration, by your I mean the West, your consideration was never right and wrong. You wanted to get back at Russia, which you did. You tried your best. You're even now doing it. My question is, how did you solve the problem? There is going to be mass proliferation of nuclear weapons in this world. The world will become more unstable because Western diplomacy failed. You said, okay, let's give this guy Zelensky a lot of weapons. Let's give him a lot of dollars, billions upon billions of dollars. Let us give him the latest arms and ammunition. What did that do? What did that do to Russia? Russia just doubled down. And the Russians will keep on fighting, because that is what the Russians read history. Please, for heaven's sake, I would urge the Americans and the Europeans, read history. The Russians have always fought. If they feel there is an outside threat to Mother Russia, that is how they talk about the country. If there is an outside threat to Mother Russia, all the Russians are going to double down. And they're going to say no. You know, they fought against the Nazis. They fought against the Nazis. They defeated the Nazis. They fought against the Napoleon armies, or the Napoleonic armies, so to say, when he was Emperor of France. They've done that in the past. They have a certain history. You must understand the Russian mindset. You can't keep on pushing the Russians and expect them to break. The Russians will not break. They'll double down. These are the people who have seen mass hunger. These are the people who have seen starvation. They have seen difficulties that America will find it difficult to imagine, and they have come out of that. I have a lot of respect for Russians, right or wrong. I'm not talking about the Ukraine warrior. I have a lot of respect for the Russians, because they're very, very tough customers. They're very tough guys. Russians will not compromise. Now they have put nuclear weapons in Belarus. Tomorrow, what about Kazakhstan? What about Tajikistan? Then they have thousands of nuclear weapons, and they're going to distribute them like cookies. And there is nothing that America can do. All your institutions, all your fail-safe guarantees to the world, what happens? What if they form a bloc? What if Iran tomorrow says that, okay, we join the Russian bloc, though there is diplomacy going on and Iran wants to come back into the mainstream, and India is also trying behind the scenes that Iran should join the mainstream, but something happens. Some crazy guy in Iran says, okay, if Belarus is getting nuclear weapons, why not us? We've been trying for nuclear weapons for a very long time. Sure, Russia, don't worry. We will join your bloc, give us nuclear weapons. Then what are you going to do? Tomorrow it says that, tomorrow Russia says that we'll give 5 ICBMs and 25 tactical nuclear weapons to Iran. God bless you. Russia has a border with China, right? And China can access Iran through Pakistan or through the Wakhan corridor through Afghanistan. Iran is not very far from China. Anybody who's under the impression that it's very far, no, it's not very far. Iran is just down there. It's just down there. The Chinese can reach Iran wherever they want, and the Chinese and the Russians together are like this today. So I think America needs to revisit its diplomatic and foreign policy priorities, because this thing is going south very fast. Just imagine Russia saying to Belarus that here are some tactical nuclear weapons here. Where does that leave your international safeguards? Just think about it. Think about it for a while. Top US journalist Fareed Zakaria. He's an Indian origin guy, and he speaks on geopolitics and he speaks on so many other topics. And Fareed Zakaria says that India can trust the US as its weapon supplier, adding that New Delhi is currently using second-rate Russian equipment. There is a desperate need for India to have cutting-edge weaponry and to be the forefront of military technology, but it's currently using second-rate Russian equipment, said veteran journalist and geopolitical expert Fareed Rafiq Zakaria. In an exclusive interview, he made that remark while answering a question on whether the US can be trusted as a weapons supplier to India. And he said a lot of other things which a lot of Indians will not like. This is, I'll read out stuff to you and then you'll realize what he said. So Fareed Zakaria, the geopolitical expert, said that India stands to benefit more in terms of establishing a relationship with the US since it is a poorer country. All right? India needs the technology and India needs the advanced weapons. India needs the US market more than the other way around. So Fareed Zakaria, this is for you. First of all, what we are getting into is a transaction. And the last thing that you should say is that India is a poorer country and India needs... So don't talk down. Don't talk down. You yourself are Indian origin as far as my knowledge goes. So I would request Mr. Zakaria, don't talk down. Don't say that, you are a poorer country and therefore, you can do this. I agree that American equipment is better than Russian equipment. I would also like to point out that the true value of an equipment is in war. I'm talking about weapons. Americans lost in Korea. All right? Americans lost in Korea. They had to get out of Vietnam. They lost there. There was loss of face in Iraq. There was loss of face in Afghanistan. They had to leave. Right? And then all these wars that Pakistan had American weapons. Pakistan still has American equipment. They lost 4 wars against India. Now, my question to Mr. Zakaria is that if American equipment is so good, why is America losing every war that it fights? And all the wars that America has lost, by the way, they have lost, or the other weapons that it has supplied to countries like Pakistan. The other side has always used Russian weapons. What do you think? What do you think that the Koreans were using? What do you think that the Vietnamese were using, or the Afghans were using till recently? What were the Iraqis using? All of them were using AK-47s. That's Russian. So I see, technologically speaking, it's better equipment than the Russians. I'll grant Fareed Zakaria that. I will grant. But I want to understand, which war has America won with this A-grade equipment? I don't understand, because, the true proof, as they say, of the pudding is in the eating. So, Mr. Zakaria, tell me, which war did your great America win? India is a poorer country. India is a poorer country. Sure, India is a poorer country. But is that what you should be saying? If you're trying to represent the American point of view, given that you are not you're not an official government functionary, agree that you're a journalist, you're a geopolitical expert. But is this the line you should be taking, that you're a poor country and you need us more than we need you? This is exactly the problem with America. You try to become a big brother to India, India will kick you. We don't need you as a big brother. We have survived. We've become the world's 5th largest economy. We're going to become the 4th largest economy. Right? And you buy from us because our goods are good. You're not doing India any favors. When I say you, I mean the United States of America. You're not doing anybody any favors. And this is exactly what has gotten you into trouble in Ukraine. This hubris, this sense of being the lone superpower who can dictate. You can't dictate to India. We will buy United States of America's weapons. We will buy those weapons if they suit us. If they don't suit us, we will not buy it. My only question is to all the geopolitical experts out there, to everybody out there, I just want to ask you one simple question here. What have American weapons achieved? Please, okay, forget about anything. After 1945, 1945 saw the end of World War II. Okay? 1945 saw the end of World War II. And the Allies won a great victory, which had England, which had America, which had so many other countries. And they won a great victory, and Hitler committed suicide and Mussolini was dead, and everything happened. Now tell me, after 1945, After 1945, almost 80 years now into the reckoning, which great war has America won? You're saying American weapons are the best in the world. Sure, I'll agree with you. But please also tell me, using American weapons, which great war has America fought and won? In which war has America been victorious? America sent its troops around the world. Please tell me that America fought this war and they were victorious. You went, Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield. Today you have suffered trillions of dollars of loss because the Iraqis hit back. You were responsible for the creation of Al-Qaeda. You were responsible for the creation of the Islamic State. You created because you hanged Saddam Hussein. Sure, Saddam Hussein was a monster and so was Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. I'm not doubting that, but the fact of the matter is they kept terrorism under control. You wiped them out. So which wars did you win with your fancy equipment? Tell me this. And I again say, yes, you have the finest equipment in the world. Either your soldiers are bad, because what they taught me in the Indian Army was that the man behind the weapon is far more important than the weapon itself. So what does that say about your country? Stop preaching. If you want to talk to us, talk as equals. We are not Pakistan, Mr. Zakaria. We are not Pakistan. We are not begging America for money. We are giving you cash. We are giving you US dollars and we are buying weapons. We are customers. And please remember, this is the first rule of business. Be respectful towards your customers. So ladies and gentlemen, with this I come to the end of the video. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, press like, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.